Hello, I'm Jim Barry. This is Miami Life, the show about the people and places that make South Florida such a very unique place. We tell you about what's going on, what's making news, and art is on the menu this week. We're going to visit a sweet new museum and take you to the epicenter of graffiti and introduce you to a street art legend. But first, we have to start with the story that has been the talk of South Florida all week long. We all saw what happened last Sunday. Miami Dolphins star Tyreek Hill handcuffed and detained by Miami-Dade police. Police body cam video shows officers pulling Hill out of his car near Hard Rock Stadium. He is then thrown to the ground and placed in handcuffs. Miami-Dade Police Director Stephanie Daniels said the video was released to be transparent and to maintain the public trust. But the incident has raised familiar questions about police tactics and the role race may have played.
Hey, keep your window down.
The body cam video begins after police pulled over for what they said was reckless driving. One officer knocks on the tinted window of Hill's sports car, and the Dolphin star hands him his driver's license. When Hill does not lower his window again, things quickly escalate.
Keep your window down, I'm gonna get you out of the car. As a matter of fact, get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. Get out of the car right now. We're not playing this game. Get out. 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 Damn. What part of blood are you in this car? Hey, Drew, I'm getting arrested, dude. I'm getting arrested.
While being taken down, Hill is speaking on his cell phone to Drew Brooks, Dolphin security chief. In another angle of the confrontation, one officer explains to Hill the reason for the rough treatment.
When we tell you to do something, you do it. You understand? You understand? Not what you want, but what we tell you. You're a little confused.
Once he is put face down on the pavement, Hill looks up at the officer who took the lead in detaining him. Some of the audio in these clips are redacted, but we do hear Hill wondering why things got to this point.
I'm chilling though. I ain't being disrespectful to nobody though.
Some of Hill's Dolphin teammates saw the commotion and pulled over. One of them was former star Calais Campbell, the NFL's Man of the Year for his humanitarian work. Officers cuffed him too for not moving his car.
Put your hands behind your back. You didn't listen.
I told you.
I'm about to leave. I told you to move your car. You didn't want to listen.
I'm about to leave. I'm about to move my car.
No, we told you multiple times.
I'll move the car. I got you. Leave.
No, the car has to hang out for a minute now. He's under arrest, so just wait a second.
One Dolphin fan who drove by tried to come to the defense of Hill's teammates.
You don't know he's the Dolphin player, right?
They want to play games and they want to act up, and this is where we are. How many times did we not tell him to move this car?
I know, but he's enough for his team.
Right? Hold on, hear me out. How many times did we not tell him to move the car? Okay?
I know,
you
but
didn't listen.
They're looking out for their teammates.
Hill and Campbell were eventually let go. At first, Hill threatened to go home, but was convinced to stay and play. While the scene gathered more attention, one final clip indicated that one officer had no idea who Tyreek Hill was.
You know who that is, right? Huh? You know who that is? No. It's one of the Dolphin star players.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's why it's such a big thing.
Now, Hill and the Dolphins back on the field at Hard Rock Stadium Thursday night, taking on the Buffalo Bills. When it was all said and done for that episode, Hill got ticketed for reckless driving and not wearing a seatbelt. The police officer placed on administrative leave following the incident has hired a lawyer. The police union has backed the actions of the officers. This story has obviously generated lots of conversation here in South Florida, and we want to know what you think about what you saw. Share your comments and feedback with us. Email cbsmiami@cbs.com. Moving on now, Governor Ron DeSantis came to South Florida and got an earful from condo owners worried they are getting priced out. They say rising costs from assessments needed to meet state requirements and soaring insurance costs could force them to move. Well, now DeSantis wants state lawmakers to figure out a way to give them some relief. Here's Joe Gorcho now with more.
The threat of being priced out is on condo owners' minds. One here in Brickell told me away from our cameras that he's upset. One of his neighbors of nearly 2 decades can no longer afford to stay, overwhelmed by skyrocketing assessments and maintenance fees. He's hoping something changes, and fast.
People are moving out and moving away from this area of town.
Sean Cozzolino tells us ever since he purchased his condo in Brickell 4 years ago, his association fees have gone up.
Altogether, it was like an extra $1,000 more a month. So for a lot of people, they can't do that.
Condo costs are rising for thousands in South Florida.
Well, my brother and sister-in-law live in an older building on Brickell Key, and they've had 3 special assessments, 1 per year over the last 3 years.
Assessments partly tied to condo state safety requirements for structural inspections, repairs, and funding reserves.
It's way too cumbersome, it's way too much, it's way too soon. Yes, it needs to be phased.
Craig Studnicki has worked in real estate for 4 decades, believing state laws negatively affected the condo market in South Florida for aging buildings.
Uncertainty of it has created the conclusion in every prospective buyer's mind, as well as lender's mind, that these special assessments will be 6 figures plus per unit.
In Miami Lakes on Monday, Governor Ron DeSantis participated in a roundtable discussion, urging state lawmakers to find solutions to address escalating condo costs connected to state laws.
I represent 20 cities, 60+% are condos with incredibly compromised structural issues.
State Senator Jason Pizzo helped lead the way in creating state condo safety reform. He believes any solution should not risk building safety, especially after the Surfside collapse in 2021.
It was a harrowing circumstance, a harrowing, tragic event that I don't want to repeat it anywhere here.
Or C, he says, associations underfunding their bank accounts.
A lot of these boards in years past would go ahead and try to keep costs low. And sometimes, and very often, we're seeing at the expense of the future years or future generation of those same owners.
One path Pizzo sees to help condo owners right now in Florida is tackling the rising insurance costs. And for more on part of his proposal, you can visit our website at cbsnewsmiami.com. Reporting in Brickell, Joe Gorcho, CBS News Miami.
Joe, thanks. Governor DeSantis also facing questions about a state probe into Florida voters who signed petitions supporting the abortion rights referendum, Amendment 4. Investigators from the state's election police unit reportedly visited several people who signed those petitions. And critics accused DeSantis of using state resources to interfere with an election. The governor defended the investigation and said it has already detected fraudulent activity.
This whole thing with the petitions, there's a lot of seedy activity that goes on. These people come in from out of state. We've tried to do reforms to kind of police this, but I think there was a lot of things going on that wasn't right. So that is going to be investigated, and I think that they verified fraudulent activity already, but anything that they find is going to be pursued, and people are going to be held accountable. We don't want to see election fraud in the state of Florida.
Abortion rights activists collected more than 400,000 signatures above what was required to put Amendment 4 on the ballot in the November elections. If passed, it would enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution. All right, up next on Miami Life, we're going to explore 2 very different art scenes.
I'm living life, and I can't help but express it in my work. You know, I'm one of those guys that I'm a very emotional painter.
First up, a street art legend explains why Wynwood is now ground zero for graffiti culture. And then we pay a visit to one of the sweetest museums you'll ever see. Welcome back to Miami Life. Graffiti was once viewed as straight up vandalism, but now it is considered an art form, especially here in Miami. This week's person of interest, street art legend Jairo Vega, has parlayed his talent for tagging into a lucrative career. We caught up with him as he showed us some of his greatest hits in Wynwood.
There's nothing that says Miami than saturated color, like just vibrant pop.
We live in a city that embraces all types of art, but no other style captures the vibe of Miami quite like graffiti.
And you can see, like, you have bits of graffiti, wild style, like traditional Miami style lettering. You have an eyeball, which is like kind of like one of my iconic images. But then you also have this color transition.
Artist Jairo Vega's work can be found all over Wynwood. Miami Life caught up with him at the Wynwood Walls mural he created with his art partner, Quake, where he happily took photos with fans of his work.
You know, when I look at this piece, this is like one of those period pieces. It's frozen in time for me and my painting partner, Quake. And it's just a combination of styles. A lot of his styles, a lot of my styles, and when I see it, I'm put back into the time because I don't necessarily paint like this now. This was 3 years ago, but to me, that might as well have been 10 years ago.
Vega's influences range from street art contemporaries to other, less obvious choices.
There are tons. I'm a huge Norman Rockwell fan, Egon Schiele, but I mean, to divert back to graffiti, I mean, man, the list goes on. I would say a lot of my contemporaries now definitely drive me more than before, but when it came to graffiti, Style Wars, you know, people like Scene and Donkey, Futura.
His work depends on his mood and his muse at the time of creation. This mural incorporates everything from classic cartoon characters to legendary Hollywood star Groucho Marx.
But throughout it, like I mentioned, there's a rhythm with color that kind of carries it on with flow. I can't tell you what it means, but it's up to your interpretation. What does it make you feel?
Sometimes the process of creating art is therapeutic, like this portrait of a friend Vega did during COVID. He says this work helped him at a personal crossroads.
It was one of those things where I kind of had to prove it to myself again, you know? I think I lost it, or like thought I lost that thing, or the ability to do what I do. I had to re-earn it on this portrait, you know? And definitely face some fears.
Vega grew up in Boston. He says hip-hop culture was his gateway to graffiti.
It all starts with hip-hop. I grew up in Boston breakdancing and just kind of fell in love with the culture as the golden era of like the early 90s kind of came in. So, you know, breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, rapping or MCing was everywhere, and it was still in its infancy, I would say. You know, it was just kind of like stretching its legs out, and I think that's what kind of led me into graffiti.
Once viewed as vandalism, graffiti has become a celebrated art form. In many ways, Wynwood has become the mecca for street art. There are walking tours that showcase the murals and portraits lining the area. And the Museum of Graffiti calls Wynwood home.
There's no way in the world that's like Wynwood. Like, there's just nothing like it. There's places that try to replicate it, and I hear all the time, like, oh, we want to make this feel like Wynwood. There's no place like Wynwood. You know, if you turn on any corner, like, you're bound to find somebody painting, catching a tag, or, scribbling on the ground, which is cool.
It's also where artists can make big money creating street art, like this mural of Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa.
Wynwood is also the only place as an artist that I would say where exposure you can actually capture. I've seen artists like break here, you know, with like just a couple paintings or a mural. They just blow up out of nowhere.
Vega himself travels all over the world to showcase his skills. He was even selected to create a massive mural celebrating Prince in Minneapolis. He's grateful for his success, but he worries now that this once outlawed art form could lose its edge now that it has gone mainstream.
I operate in a gray area. I still walk the line, and a lot of my friends do too, right? We love this culture. We know where it came from. We know what got us here. You know, a lot of our work wasn't legal to begin with, though it is now, and it is my career, and I'm grateful that I have one. There's a lot of structure that came with this culture that no longer exists. I still feel the need to maintain personally. I don't mind vandalism still being vandalism. I don't mind street art being street art and graffiti being graffiti. You know? And if you can differentiate, then cool. Not, I don't know.
For Jairo Vega, graffiti is not just a passion, but a purpose. And each year when Art Basel takes over, he takes it as a personal challenge to outdo himself.
Every year at Art Basel, I bring my A game with all my friends, and we try to do something that we feel is intimidating to us. You know, maybe it's bending styles beyond our capabilities, right? Or painting something that you're uncomfortable with, or being vulnerable on a painting. And I think that's where this is at. Because art isn't just about like paint on a wall or paint on canvas. It's your life story in some aspects, right? At least for me, that's what it is.
His art is intimidating and always interesting, and we look forward to seeing what he creates at Art Basel this year. All right, from graffiti to another type of art, the kind you can eat. Get ready for the sugar rush, because we're heading to the Museum of Ice Cream. Welcome back. You could say we've got a sweet scoop on the latest museum to set up shop here in the 305. The Museum of Ice Cream is now open in downtown Miami. It's an immersive experience blending interactive exhibits and ice cream in all kinds of flavors. And our Lisa Petrillo brings us the tasty details.
We've got the scoop inside the all-new Museum of Ice Cream in downtown Miami. Co-founder Manish Vora is ready to churn out our private tour on the eve of opening day of this immersive, multi-sensory exhibit, totally inspired by ice cream.
We started 8 years ago. It was a pop-up in New York City, and it was designed for adults. We had been building things in the art world, and ice cream is the most universally loved, accepted thing. So we combined art, theater, and ice cream into the first Museum of Ice Cream.
Miami is the 5th location for the global brand, proving they're not just a flash in the sundae. It spans 14,000 square feet over 2 floors inside the Miami World Center.
And this is a new museum quarter. We have the PAM, we have Frost, we have so much art and culture that has come to Miami, and we are now a huge part of this. And this is the next generation Museum of Ice Cream.
Let's go for a ride.
We're going to go on an airplane, Miami theme from the 70s.
The Creamliner is a 60s-inspired luxury airplane that transports you from downtown Miami to a world of endless popsicility.
Is it going to be a bumpy ride?
It will be a bumpy ride. We are on a journey from Miami all the way to Frostyland.
We're treated to a delicious creamsicle just before landing. Talk about in-flight catering.
Oh, that was a little rough landing. But now we're in a whole new world, and it's going to be an entire new Museum of Ice Cream that you're about to discover.
We play ice cream scoop whack-a-mole, have a cotton candy break on an animal cookie, then a high-speed thrill down the double helix slide. The cherry on top is a jump and a swim in the world-famous sprinkle pool. Woo! Talk about diving into the deep end of dessert.
We might not find Picassos or Miros hanging on the wall, but a scoop of fun just might be what you're looking for. With a sweet treat, I'm Lisa Petrillo, CBS News, Miami.
Lisa, thanks so much. She has all the fun in her job, and she makes it look so easy because to her, it is. Stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, time to see what the Miami Life audience is saying about our recent stories, like our interview with Fort Lauderdale Mayor Dean Trontalis. And we mentioned that one of the mayor's goals is to pull the city out of Miami's shadow. Well, one viewer threw a little shade on that idea, says, if you want to get out of our shadow, you need to start by changing your city's bland and boring name. Come on now. Someone else doubts the city's weather-related issues are related to climate change. He says it rains here today like it did 40 years ago, although some would dispute that. Keep sending us your comments and feedback to CBS Miami at CBS.com. You can also drop your comments on the CBS Miami YouTube channel. That's a wrap for this week's edition of Miami Life. Remember, you'll see us every Thursday. New episodes dropping of Miami Life at 6:30 on the stream. I'm Jim Barry. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.